Hello and welcome in to a 3v3 cast on the map Argus Gate. And my game is killing itself slowly but surely. Alright, and we are in the game. I don't know if my computer can actually handle this amount of troopage, and oh god, it can handle it just fine when not recording, but when recording we may be in a bad place. So right now I'm going to pause and just look a little bit around. We have the Ravener Alpha and the Hive Tyrant. Hive Tyrant, obviously the melee hero and such. Both start with Hormagaunts and going for a second squad of Hormagaunts, so it's going to be a very melee Tyranid army. And Apothecary putting out Tax, another Apothecary on the opposite team also putting out Tac Marines. Interestingly enough, colored blue while being on the red team, that is definitely going to confuse me. Lord General going for the standard infantry, probably into Sentinel build, and a Warlock building Banshees. Specifically, I have a feeling that Jizzo with the Imperial Guards will have a tough time against this heavy melee army that's going on from the Tyranids. Now, before we start the match, let's have a little overlook at the map. There is 3 lanes. The bottom lane, which contains most of the power in the game, and whoever holds that is going to tech first and probably win, because power is shared among the team. Then in the middle is where most of the big fights will happen. There is a power point, a rec point, more importantly 2 of the control points, and then the top lane we will see a lot of building play, because there's plenty of buildings and plenty of points. Usually we'll see the first armor actually push up through the top and then swing down these stairs into the control points. So, let's get going. Loads of action abound. And let's hope that my computer doesn't die. Please, survive. Alright, so we see the Eldar going straight for the bottom lane. They're going to be facing the Space Marines, so they're going to initially push them back because Scout's not that great in combat versus Eldar. The Ravener Alpha, of course, going for the cap on the control point. Those guys going for the requisition. Marines going for the power. And these guys up here will grab the power and go for the control point. Meanwhile, these guys are just trying to get the requisition and power scores up. If we look, team has the same power, same requisition for right now. And red team got their power a little bit first, so they're gonna swing ahead in terms of that. And some spore mines coming up from this player. We'll see what they do. They're actually pretty deadly, especially against large squads, so we can expect to see them used against the Space Marines in the middle, more likely than not. The Guardian's setting up, and yeah, Warlock getting his blast off and pushing the Scouts back. However, here come the Banshees. They're gonna mess those Marines up. And here we have the Lord General single-handedly sort of trying to push back the Tyranid forces. And let's see, have we used those? Ooh, spore mines are going to the top lane. Maybe intended to try and blow up this building here to prevent the building play. As I said, this happens quite often on this map. The Tyranid hordes are now just going to move on. And yeah, 1 Termagant brood. That's their ranged unit. Meanwhile, Knutson has gotten only melee Tyranids and just overrunning these Imperial Guardsmen because they need the Sentinel to stomp, or else they can't do anything against these Termagant broods. And there he goes, stomps and tries to run away, but I think it may be too late. Yes, it is. He's going to lose the Sentinel. That hurts early on. Banshee's already going for the power harass after pushing the Marines back. And in the top lane, we will see complete and utter Tyranid dominance, as well as having the spore mines here. The blue Marines apparently abandoned that bunker, and let's see where they are. Retreated back to base. Now they're going to do a double player push up there. Meanwhile, blue team is going to firmly secure the center with the Tyranids. And here we have the Warlock very easily holding his own. The Marines, however, coming back up. In terms of power, red team is severely behind because obviously the Tyranids took the top lane and that was a good bit of power loss there. However, the Tyranids have used their power on Spore Mines and upgrades, or specifically Floidll and Thorax did, so they're quite low on power. Floidll is just very power hungry this tier 1. And how are they doing on the... only one who has used any power has been the shotguns on the scouts by Raid3n. So let's see what's going on here. Oh, the flamers on the attack marines going in for the gen harass, gonna destroy that whole farm, capturing the control point. Right now, red team severely behind, 100 point lead for blue team as far as those go. Another clash at the bottom. Those shotguns are really going to lay the hurt on the Banshees. There you can see it. Banshees forced to retreat right away. Scouts also pushed back by the second Guardian squad. 2 Guardian squads, and the Recon's Rangers just came out. Ever since losing the Sentinel, Jizzo has not rebuilt his forces, and no secondary attacks for Rain. He's going for a second scout squad, actually. Dual scout snipers, maybe, or shotguns would be more effective against the Tyranids, since they are very blobous and bunchy. These attacks are running away from the Spore Mines. If one of these should explode, they would be in a very bad position. And oh god, suppression, explosions, and here comes the Termagants, upgraded with Toxin Sacs as backup for these spores. Flamers could do quite well against them, but it is dangerous. Catachan Devils is what he's going for. Good choice against the Termagants and Hormagaunts. They will do massive damage to those blobs. In the meantime, going Tech 2 for Faxe, I guess? Faxe Machine? He's going Tech 2 because he's been saving his power like a good boy this whole time, completely depriving his troops of any and all upgrades that they may have. On the other hand, Floidll has been going really heavy into tier 1 with the power, still has only 64, and the Marines getting upgrades for all of their units basically, and the assault squad, which also costs power, so they're behind in that sense. These attacks out here are just getting obliterated by these constant explosions, and now the Marines swinging in from the bottom lane, where the Guardians and Banshees are rapidly trying to retake control. So they're going to push up to here, and the Imperial Guardsmen moving back to a defensive position. In the meantime, we can expect to see these Hormagaunts push up, along with these Space Marine forces coming up from the middle, to try and hold on to this control point and maintain their pretty solid lead over the opponent. So the Guardsmen right away forced to retreat by the Assault Marine. The Lord General doing some good damage there with his grenade launcher, but also forced to fall back. And the Devils are probably going to throw in some shotguns. Yes, there goes the shotgun, and grenade right there. Grenade, yes. And then retreat. Just doing some damage, basically harassing. They are very good for that. See some team chat going on here. As you can see, it's basically a clan, Sir von Nutzen versus PPV, and each of them have an odd man out. So, interesting in that sense. The Warlock capping back this middle power and getting the requisition. Interesting thing about requisition points is you see how that one's giving 10, that one's giving 15. That's because that one's been held longer. The longer they are held, dead medic apothecary up here. The longer rec points are held by a team, the more rec they give, so it actually pays to hold on to your rec points. Here we see the Banshees going into full retreat right through that giant blob of Tyranid. Look at those. Just look at that blob. That is as big of a blob as the Imperial Guard, and here we will have the Battle of the Blobs. Shotgun or grenade. Oh no, he's just going to run away. The grenade launcher on the Catachan Devils, along with the one on the Lord General, can actually do quite significant damage to blobs such as Tyranids. And the first player for Red Team going into Tech 2, Eldar. Meanwhile, Jizzo going for a very power-heavy Tier 1 dual Catachan Devils, and we can see his maintenance is really hurting him versus the others. 260 to 219. Just very painful on the requisition to have that many Catachin Devils. And in the meantime, we see the Space Marines pushing back, capturing the wreck point again, and going for a little bit of gen harass. Meanwhile, up to the north, trying to capture the point, but the Tyranid hordes sweep in and force a complete retreat. There's really nothing you can do against this many Tyranids this early on. The Catachin Devils, however, very good at doing work on those. As you can see, they've been suppressed and losing all sorts of models. However, now that they've engaged in melee, those guardsmen are going to have to retreat. They are rubbish at melee. And here come more grenades, pushing those Tyranids way back and suppressing the whole bunch of them. Catachin Devils are very powerful support units, especially against such blobs where it's very easy to hit. And there you have it, the guardsmen just won the day for the upper lane forces. However, this Ravener Alpha has been upgraded with anti-vehicle weaponry and might go down 25 hit points, and no. Also, interestingly enough, upgrades the damage of all forces nearby, so that's quite useful. The Hive Tyrant, in the meantime, has been given the Warp Field, which is his bubble, and improves the health of him and nearby units. So, very useful for the melee-heavy army that the Tyranids have been going for. Hormagaunt squad has been lost to Floidll, but he got some Warrior Brood and Raveners, as well as getting more Raveners. Raveners can burrow and are very powerful. In that sense, they're basically like the Assault Marines of the Tyranids. Genestealer Brood are the stealth units, so he can use those to do some nice harassment. In the meantime, the Marines are going for a Plasma Cannon Devastator squad, and Jizzo just going Tech 2 as Sir Faxe goes for Tier 3. He's been saving his power like a good boy should, and he's going to hit Tier 3. That's the interesting thing about 3v3 strategies, that most of the time you can afford to have one person just stockpile their power. In the meantime, the bottom lane is very firmly blue. The middle is also being held by blue quite firmly, and the top, red is about to lose as they have very little to guard up there. One squad of machine guns is not really going to do much. Not really much at all. And the Apothecary just chilling there. Hey, what's up, guys? You're in the building. And there's a bunch of aliens behind me, but I'm just going to stare at this wall. Alright, he's a definite contributor, and the Imperial Guardsman blob forced to retreat under heavy melee pressure. And, ooh. They're actually not that bad in terms of model losses. Jizzo has been doing very well in securing his forces, and I feel pretty funny saying his name every time. Just because it's one of those awkward type sounding things. Hey, Jizzo, what's up? And the Apothecary gonna cap back that point, but red 133 points left, 130 now, just not very well in terms of that. And blue feels so confident that they even put a gen farm up in the middle. That's just a big FU sign, might as well be, because that's basically saying to the red team, hey, we feel perfectly safe putting a gen farm up in the middle because we know you guys aren't strong enough to take it. Alright, and let's see. The Imperial Guardsman blob is pushing forward with their double Catachins. And they're going to take care of that big FU sign pretty readily. And are we going to see a melt-a-grenade? Have these been upgraded with sergeants? Yes, they have. You can tell because he has the launcher thingamabob. Quite awesome. Anyways, these guys are going to be taking the primary power node. That is just so bad. Come on, Eldar player. Stop losing your squads and do something. Popping out a Wraith Lord. I don't know if it'll be of help. Flamers and Assault Marines won't really do much against it, but that's still pretty embarrassing. And that's the reason why their team is behind in tech. Meanwhile, Faxe is... ooh, lost his squad. Got another Genestealer Brood, though, anyways. And, ooh, the Zoanthrope Very rarely used unit, often seen as quite useless, and here we have the Ravener Brood Burying gonna unload right on top of those. Just look at the epic scale of this battle, and there's always something going on somewhere. Here we have just a machine gun and the apothecary standing around being attacked by the Zoanthrope, but Raid3n is quite busy working on the middle. Oh. Excuse me, I had to sneeze there. Hopefully that didn't blow your ears out. And the Wraith Lord just pushing firmly up the middle. I don't know what he's doing there. It doesn't have the Shuriken Cannon, but staying at range. The Banshees have been upgraded to quite a good point right now. And Jizzo just does not have enough power to do anything. In fact, their whole team doesn't. Plus 29 power on income. That's just very paltry compared to the other team's income. They do have one gen farm, but that looks like it's about to be overtaken by this giant wave. Oh yeah, Devastator Marines with last cannons. Just nope, going down. You can't really leave them hanging, especially when there's this big of a push. They like to travel in teams, pushing 2 versus 1. In the meantime, the guardsmen are taking the middle with their stealthed up Cadishan Devils. Very sneaky with their grenade launchers and such. And here we have scouts with shotguns, and those Marines are not looking like they're going to do very well at all. And for whatever reason, there we are, and now they're running back like good boys should. Dreadnought coming out. That could actually be quite powerful against the heavy melee army, but here we have the Swarm Lord coming out. It is indeed a monstrous creature. That description is correct. Let's just watch that thing pop out of there. It is worth ignoring everything else that's going on and just jizzed him out onto the battlefield. This thing is ridiculously powerful and very hard to kill. If I remember correctly, at least in the GSL games, it proved impossible for the Eldar player to take down, so the Tyranid race did win the GSL. As I've mentioned previously, as of right now, the Eldar and Tyranids are the only ones that are actually balanced, in that they have a counter to pretty much everything and can be played basically as well as the player can play them. There's no game mechanics or anything like that holding them back. Here we see a proper use of artillery, just eviscerating the guardsmen forces. Oh, don't lose those devils. Oh, so painful to lose those. Oh, Jizzo is out of the game right now, and the Tyranids have a firm dominance on this match. That Swarm Lord, nothing will be done to it, especially if it's being healed like it is. There's just nothing that good that will come of this. That is the end, and we see the Marines here are going Tech 3. There's just so much action in this game, very difficult to keep up, but here's where the main fighting is going on. Just very large amounts of Tyranid and Space Marines combined, pushing the Eldar back with absolutely no problems. Here come the Imperial Guard again, very weakened, only 2 squads left, and yeah, you can't really fight the Assault Marines. That is not a viable choice. And the Devils are not going to win in melee. Oh, just get out of there, man. Get out of there while you still can. That Dreadnought, not really going to do anything on its own. It does need support, as good as it may be. And especially with that Swarm Lord being somewhere on this field. Yeah, no, nothing's going to happen to that thing. Look at it, 1,700 hit points after all that. More Gene Stealer broods coming out. The Marines have gone Tech 3 and have nearly full requisition. So does Faxe. In fact, he has more than the bar, and he just does not call in any troops right now, so because he really doesn't need to. I mean, yeah, sure, he can dump all that requisition into something, but absolutely no need. They're holding this game pretty dominant-like, and the Hive Tyrant is about to kill that Dreadnought. And there we go. I mean, killing Hive Tyrant for Dreadnought is not an equal exchange. That Dreadnought is far more expensive to replace. Oh dear. And here comes the Librarian with the Force Staff. Gonna take care of that power node. Completely unnecessary, but kind of funny. And I mean, 47 victory points, it's pretty obvious they have been crushed this entire time. And at this point, it doesn't really matter what they do, they cannot do anything against the Swarm Lord. The plasma cannons, yeah, those will do damage to it, but you have to get it to run into them and then stay there. I mean, once that thing came out, it was game over. One could say, though, I mean, there's a pretty steady trend of blue team having more power, so they were able to advance faster. And here's a Terminator squad going to be getting flamers. Just there's absolutely no way that anything can be done by red team at this point to make a comeback. Overall, though, good game. Loads of dead models all over the place, but very, very dominated by the Tyranids. Tyranids just started out strong in Tier 1, and then Faxe brilliantly saved up his power to allow him to get good units throughout Tier 2 and pushed into Tier 3 way before anyone. And right before the Carnifex comes out, the game ends on victory points. Oh man. Yes, I am positive I want to exit the game. So that was a complete and utter fustercluck. Just loads of troops for each side running around the map. A very fast match, very hard to keep up with. And that's the thing about this game, is it's far more micro-intensive than StarCraft, just because there's so much going on at any given moment in time. So yeah, why is it not dumping me back to the screen?